Welcome to The Racing Line. I'm Hayden Gullis. I'm joined by Dirk Chocolate and Tom, and this is the show where we talk about everything in the Formula One world, including stuff that's going on in real life, but also concerning the game and the gaming world. Coming up in today's show, we're going to be reacting to the recent French GP, giving our favourite moments on the race. We're also going to get an exclusive interview with an F1 22 game designer. And stick around, because there's an inside scoop for you guys that you do not want to miss. We're going to also have all the latest news on the F1 Esports series, and finally, an opportunity to try and beat the three of us on the F1 22 game. So stick around to find out what you need to do. So, without any further ado, let's get into our race reactions for the French GP.
So, the French Grand Prix, a Grand Prix that was actually a lot more enjoyable than what we've seen in the last couple of seasons. Let's go through a couple of our favorite moments that we've had watching the French Grand Prix. For me, it was probably the moment where Russell actually overtook Sergio Perez under the virtual safety car, which actually, there was a little bit of an issue with the virtual safety car. Yeah, exactly. They had to restart the virtual safety car to be able to actually restart the whole race there. So that was quite funny in the end, which was something we didn't really know. But what was your guys' favorite moment?
Carlos Sainz taking complete control of his race, strategy-wise, what he was doing. I'm loving the fire that's burning within him to get as much out of his car as possible. Hayden, shoot.
Lance Stroll defense. Was it ever going to be anything else, boys? The peak defending, we see it so many times in racing where a driver slows down on the apex to stop their rival from having an opportunity to slingshot an easy overtake past him. That's what he did perfectly, and he held on to the point at the end. So,
what's your predictions for the next one? That was the French Grand Prix, so I've got Hungary next.
Now, I've seen actually on the weather reports already that it's going to be drying, or it's going to be raining a little bit. So I'm actually going to the Hungary Grand Prix. So in the next episode that we're going to do, you'll see a little bit of me over there as well. But I hope it's going to be raining. I don't care if I'm going to become wet, but if it's raining, we can see like a race, just like last year where Lewis Hamilton was alone on the grid. I hope we're going to see something like that.
Yeah, so you're saying Lewis Hamilton for the win next race because of the wet?
Maybe, yeah. But I mean, he wasn't on his own on the restart, remember, last year.
He was by himself. Okay, Hayden?
I'm going to say my prediction is that Tom's going to get wet then if he's there at the Grand Prix. So I think Ferrari are going to come back at this one. I think as long as Leclerc can keep it out of the barriers, Leclerc win.
Okay. I know it's going to be a bit cliche, but I'm going to say Max because he's an absolute wet merchant. So it's going to be a track I think he's going to be very strong at. But respectfully, I also think George and Lewis are going to do very well because they have shown they're very good in the wet.
So that was our moments, our favorite moments. But what was yours? Let us know in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Now, next up, we have Dirk actually, who got a very cool talk in together with an EA developer on the F1 22 game. Let's hear what Dirk had to say. It was very, very cool. Let's take a look and see.
Thanks, guys. Today I'm here with Matt. So, Matt, why don't you introduce yourself to the world?
Hey, I'm Matt Skingle, and I'm a principal game designer on F1 22.
Lovely to have you, Matt. Now, Matt, we've just recently had a patch come out this week, and I haven't had a chance to test it yet. But can you give us a quick rundown on what sort of changes have been made to the new update?
Yeah, so we've tried to address a load of bug fixes that have been raised by the community. So you'll notice things like the sector times during races has now been fixed. We've looked to address the broken barriers at Baku, and we've also fixed the audio stuttering that some players were experiencing. On top of bug fixes, we've looked at the on-track handling, we've made some tweaks there, and we've also made significant force feedback changes that players will notice in this patch too.
So a lot's changed, which is going to throw a few people off that have just spent a lot of time learning the new handle model because it has changed from F1 22 to 21. So in terms of the on-track changes and the handling, how has that been altered?
So there's a couple of areas that we've altered for this patch. So the first one being the engine torque. So essentially this will mean that the engine has less torque at lower RPM and that the power will increase gradually. So that's one thing players will notice. The next big thing would be gear ratios. Again, these have been tweaked slightly, especially the lower gears. Next is the self-aligning torque. So this comes back to what I mentioned about force feedback changes. So this has been added as an enhancement. It will allow the force feedback to have a boost in torque around the centre of the steering wheel position. So that will mean that the forces being felt will be crisper and stronger. So we're quite excited to push that out to the players and get their feedback on that. Then the last one being tyre temperatures. We noticed that too much heat was coming from the tyres and that wasn't influencing grip enough. Essentially what this will mean and what we'd recommend for players moving forward after this patch is that they look to use a default or close to default tyre pressure. It's worth pointing out with this change, the grip from the tyres has not been tweaked, so this won't affect time trial. So that will stay the same because tyre temperatures is not enabled in time trial.
So from what I'm getting from that, all the guys that are time trial sweats out there won't see as much of a change in terms of the temperatures in the setups, but the guys that do like career mode and the races, they might have to start tweaking the setups a little bit more from what they've got currently.
Yes, that's correct. So the tyre temperatures in time trial won't be a thing, but the items I previously mentioned, so engine torque, gear ratios and self-aligning torque with force feedback, they will be featured in time trial.
Very interesting. Lovely. Okay, so I'm guessing with all those changes, the time trial leaderboard is going to get wiped because they're not handling the same anymore. So you might get faster, you might get slower times, I guess.
Yeah, so we've had to take the hard decision of wiping the leaderboards from this patch on. This was not an easy decision. We appreciate all the players who, as you've said, have already sweated some decent times and that there's some incredible times on the leaderboards already. We felt it was the only way that we'd give everyone coming back in with the new patch a fair kind of level playing field to get going.
Yeah, okay, that sounds more than fair enough. Keep it on a level playing field. Alright, so ahead of any future patches, how can people find out about more information that's coming out from you guys?
The best place probably at this moment in time to get all that kind of good, helpful information would be to head over to EA Answers. And within there's a dedicated thread called Community Raised Issues. So this will be a place where you can see all the issues that are getting raised by the community and you'll kind of see how we're doing with those. There'll be status updates on each one, kind of talking about whether or not we've been able to identify the issue and fix it, or if it's on a triage board and we're trying to investigate and get more information on that.
I guess I'll take this moment to say if you do find any issues with the game or you want to report something, definitely use that platform because I know that you guys are very active and you've got people that are dedicated to look at that and pass that information on. So you're watching, use it.
It's quickly just worth saying that we do appreciate all the community that are coming forward giving us this information. We appreciate at times it seems we're quite quiet or that we're maybe not listening. We are. It's just we're really hard at work trying to fix these issues or identify how we reproduce them to then work out what needs to be fixed. And we thank you for providing that information and bringing it to us in forums or social media and all the other avenues that players are coming forward with. So thank you.
Fantastic. Alright, so before you go, and I'll let you go, what else can we expect to come out from the game in the coming future? I know one thing for me is, obviously we've got the cross-platform, but yeah, what else have we got coming up in the near future?
Yeah, so with every F1 game, we like to do a large amount of updates throughout the course of the year. So some of the highlights coming your way. I think the one everyone really wants to know about is crossplay. That is still coming, and we'll have more news on that very, very soon, so please keep an eye out for that. And then we have traditional updates that we always do with the F1 game, such as the F2 2022 update. So we'll be bringing in the 2022 season, so you'll have the new drivers, the teams, and that will sit alongside the existing F2 2021 that's already in the game. We then also typically do a sport update, so that's kind of looking at the cars, the helmets, the models, making sure they're as true to the real sport as they are in-game and make sure we've got that authentic experience for players. So if there's any that are sort of maybe slightly out to what you would see in the real world, we will try and address that and bring that into a future update called the Sports Update. Behind the scenes, we're currently working on the Series 2 of Podium Pass, so there's some really cool rewards that will be in Series 2, so please keep an eye out for that when that drops. And then lastly, I guess the big one that we want to talk about is additional tracks. So we will be adding additional tracks to F1 22. What they are, I can't reveal at this moment in time, but what I can say is they will be free for all players. So as long as you've got a copy of F1 22, you can download the additional tracks free of charge.
I think a lot of people are going to be really excited about the additional tracks, to be fair. I know I am already. I didn't know. I'm finding out right now, so big smiles on my face. Cool. That's really cool to find out. Okay, brilliant. Matt, I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to out of your day to talk to us. and hopefully not the last time. I'm pretty sure we'll be talking again in the future. But thank you so much for coming on and giving everyone a kind of update of what's going on and a little bit of insight of what's to come. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, my pleasure. See you on track.
See you on track.
Alright, so let's head to the F1 Esports part then, where for anybody who doesn't know what esports is, it is the official championship on the F1 game, and anyone, including you, can actually qualify for it. Actually, myself, I've qualified back in 2020, so I mean, if I can do it, you can do it
They
too.
must have really been straight to the barrel that year.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's talk about like what's happened so far in the run-up to the F1 Esports season. Of course, we had the qualifications that started all the way back in last year. We had a pro exhibition, which I don't know if you guys have followed it, the pro exhibition.
Starting to slowly. I've got a friend actually. I've got two friends that are in it, Thomas Ronhart and Luke Smith, who raced, and I believe Thomas Ronhart actually won the pro exhibition. So that's really cool to see. I'd love to see what team he ends up at. If he ends up at a team, I'm sure there is spaces that he can pick up even as a third driver.
So as for the esports drivers, currently it's looking like Ferrari is going to maintain Tunisia, Lee, Brandon Lee, and actually have signed Donoso. And now they make it one of the most experienced lineups of the entirety of the F1 Esports series, with winners, championship winners, and of course Donoso very close to a championship win all the way back in the day. Now Alpine has Samuel Behan, Patrick Sipos, as well as Philippe Reschneider, with a fairly new lineup after last season. Then we have Aston Martin, having seen already at Silverstone with Bianco Lilla, Weigang, and John Evans, a completely new group. They have gone for an entirely new roster. And then Alfa Romeo, which has just been announced, with Nicolas Longue coming from Alpine last season, Tomek Poracic, very first time in these Pro Series, and Danny Berejnik coming from McLaren. Then for Williams, we're going to have Daniele Haddad coming from Aston Martin, Shanaka Clay coming from Aston Martin as well. It looks like they swapped a little bit there. And then Alvaro Corton finishing the lineup.
Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting season, I think, of F1 Esports. I mean, the drivers that we've mentioned already are going to be very, very close. F1 Esports is always so close, and I think the more we get into it, the closer it's going to be between drivers. Jarno Opmir's dominated for quite a bit of the last two seasons. I do think this year he's still going to be at the top. He's still an incredible driver, but I think there's a lot of new talent coming in.
And remember, of course, all the cars are equal, so anybody in this list or any of the drivers can be crowned the 2022 F1 Esports World Champion. Let's see if it's going to be Jarno again, but I don't know if he's going to make it three times in a row. Yeah. That's going to be a big achievement if he does. Like, that's never been done before, so let's see. It sucks a little bit that Alpine did not give me a seat, but maybe next year, you know?
Yeah, maybe next year, mate.
So that is everything esports for today in the very first episode. Let's head on to a segment called Team Radio, where you are going to be the one who is able to give some advice and feedback to EA. So let's go into it. Here we go.
Okay, welcome to the Team Radio segment of the show. And this segment is all about how we can communicate your messages back to EA better. So if you have anything that you want to ask, if you have any questions or anything about the handling, whatever it is, make sure you use the comments down below and we'll read all of them and try and get those questions over to the teams that can answer those questions. Or better yet, go to answers.ea, where they have a load of people that have already asked questions and a load of answers. So if you have something in mind, it may already be there. So next video, what we're going to do is come back to you with as many answers as we possibly can give you, and hopefully that will help you get to know what's going on in their world. That's it for this segment, but I'm sure next time it will be a lot more full of information. And next, what we have is the challenge for you guys.
The Hungarian Grand Prix is this weekend, so we decided that we're going to set a challenge for you guys. The three of us have set a hot lap around the circuit, so let's see how we got on.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board with the best driver on the planet at the Hungaroring in Hungary. As we go into the first turn, we want to brake right off the 100-meter board, back at the third gear.
The first corner now, the only real long straight around this circuit.
We're looking for the start of the curve here, just before it, fourth gear, nice and tight.
And the DRS detection point is actually right after the last and final turn for both DRS zones. So that's going to be very, very tough.
Into fourth. Probably a bit late on the DRS there.
It's not too bad, but it's not amazing.
And you're going to carry all that extra exit speed that you just gained all the way into the next turn. But we want to try and brake on the curves. Go late though into 5th gear. Watch out. Keep the car stable.
I'm on the curb. Oh, that's not going to help me at all.
And then just pray that you don't spin.
The curb start on the 3rd gear and the 4th. Keep it going through a very, very, very close section.
Into the chicane. Use all the curb on the inside of the corner. All the curb on the outside as well.
Cut it as much as you heavenly can.
Well, let's see if we can keep it up all the way. Oh my goodness, that was close to an invalidation.
It's gone wide again.
Try and get the power out. Don't spin it.
The last final corner.
The last corner. On the power.
Okay. I think it's not a bad lap at all.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be
A terrible lap around Hungary.
a 116.2.
557th in the world. I'm not world class.
Those were our hot laps around the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now, the challenge is, can you go quicker than all three of us? You can't just beat one of us. You have to beat all three. Submit your lap via hashtag the racing line on social media, and one lucky winner who manages to beat all three of us will be shouted out in the next episode. So go home, get on F122, go beat us. Now for the next episode, we want a different challenge. So we're going to tee it up to you guys at home. Let us know in the comments, one, what challenge you would like us to do. So for example, dry tires on a wet track, or trying to race 0% AI using no brakes or something like that. We will do that, and also let us know what track you would like us to do as well. And we will see you for that challenge on the next one.
If you want to stay up to date with anything the racing line and the Formula 1 game, then make sure you follow @Formula 1 Game on social media, or subscribe to the channel over here to not miss out on any of the future episodes. From me, Dirk Chocolate, as well as Hayden Gullis. Thank you for watching today, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.